Fitch's Fixed Interest podcast delivers the analyst insights and updates you need to stay ahead in a rapidly evolving market.
Hi, this is Saverio Minervini from Latin America Corporate Infrastructure and Project Finance. I'm here joined today with Juan Medellin and Marcela Araujo. Together, we're going to cover El Niño's impact on power and utilities in Latin America. So Marcela, what do we expect El Niño's impact to be for Brazilian utilities?
In Brazil, the main impact is to power price volatility. So more than half of Brazil's total power output comes from hydro, and the availability of water remains as the most relevant driver of power prices. El Niño usually means higher temperatures across Brazil, but it does bring a different pattern of rainfall to different regions. Usually heavier rainfall in the south and southeast, including Rio and São Paulo, the most populous regions, and also severe droughts to the north of the country, where one of the largest hydropower plants on the planet is. As a combination of both effects, we expect power prices will average 300 BRL over the second semester, eventually picking up to 780, close to the regulatory cap in some periods. And this will put pressure on the cost of energy purchases, affecting about 20% of the projects in the portfolio we rate, mostly wind and solar utility plants in the northeast affected by curtailment. And on the corporate side, the names bearing the largest exposures are Auren and Light, and eventually CEMIG, that could be eventually exposed in case of energy shortfalls. Last but not least, we could also expect some infrastructure disruption with the heavier rainfall in the south and southeast, including outages of transmission lines and damages to the infrastructure of hydropower plants, affecting about 30% of the assets in the portfolio of projects we rate.
Thank you, Marcela. Juan, what does El Niño mean for the rest of Latin America?
So we are mainly seeing pressures from the El Niño phenomenon in Colombia and Panama, two countries where the majority of installed energy capacity comes from hydro assets, and the El Niño results in severe dry conditions across the countries. In Colombia, the tighter margin between energy supply and demand, together with delayed payments from the state-intervened distribution company AIRE, will make this dry season more difficult for both generations and distribution companies to navigate through. Both of these conditions have compromised Colombia's energy matrix reliability, and that is increasing the risk of potential energy rationing. Higher spot prices, which we have already seen reaching around $200 per megawatt hour compared to around $90 under more normal hydrology conditions, could pressure profitability, while the accumulated balances tied to AIRE could pressure working capital needs. In some cases, these pressures may require additional debt financing, and that could increase leverage metrics. That being said, the starting point to face the El Niño is relatively solid in Colombia. Strong hydrology over the past year has given generation companies greater flexibility in managing water use, and reservoir levels are currently sitting around 75% of capacity. In Panama, dry conditions are also starting to push spot prices to around $100 per megawatt hour compared to around $60 under more normal hydrology conditions. The entry of the combined cycle at the Gatun thermal plant is expected to ease some of the pressures on spot prices. Even so, companies that rely on hydro assets with weaker contractual positions and greater exposure to the spot market are likely to face profitability pressures. We are seeing reservoir levels in Panama are also beginning to decline, with some already below 50% capacity.
Thank you, Juan, and thank you, Marcela, and thank you, everyone, for your interest. And this is Fitch's perspective on how El Niño will impact Latin America power and utility names.
Subscribe to Fixed Interests wherever you get your podcasts.